Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today we are going to talk about, inshallah, we are going to start this book and I'm going to read the translation as it is. This is one of the most beautiful works of Sheikh Ibn al-Qayyim al-Jawziyyah. He was also a student of Ibn Taymiyyah and he is a very, very prominent scholar, and because of his works, he is also called Doctor of the Heart. He has written many works, and inshallah, today we are going to start reading. I thought rather than I read it myself, I read it alone. I decided we'll go ahead and read it together so many people can benefit, not just me. This is a translation. Inshallah, hopefully one day we can do the Arabic version as well, but today we are going to start with the translated version. So these are the chapters. There are different levels or the ranks, the spiritual level of the human being who's seeking any spiritual awakening or elevation. So let's have a look at how this particular blessed sheikh has described these levels. Let's start reading. I'll quickly skip, or maybe I'll just go through. Very quickly we can go through this. Acknowledgement. Praise to God, Lord of the world, and blessings upon the messengers. I have incurred many debts in the course of this translation, which began almost 20 years ago with a small circle of friends eager to unlock Islam's spiritual treasures in early morning meetings in Northern California, and despite many fits and starts, has continued since. Hassan Laidi, then the editor of Al Jumu'ah magazine, encouraged me to continue translating it and publish the installment monthly for several years. Muhammad Isa, then at the University of Chicago and editorial consultant at Middle Eastern Text Initiative at Brigham Young University, encouraged me to complete the project and put me in touch with Dr. Morgan Davis, who showed great interest and faith in the project. Later, when the initiative was acquired by Brill, Teddy Dolls showed great interest in the project, and I have since had the pleasure of working with Abdul Rauf Oslati and Cass Van Den Hoff at Brill. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing the names wrong. Who all have been incredibly supportive. My greatest debt is to my students and friends, Rizart, Becca, and Tasneem Al-Kait, or Al-Kiek, both graduate students at Georgetown University. Rizart painstakingly checked the entire translation against the Arabic text, and Tasneem thoroughly read through the translation, as did Basit Iqbal, who is the most competent copy editor I know. The text would not be the same without their innumerable suggestions and corrections. Over the last several years, I have received almost weekly queries from all corners of the world about the translation. I have not always been punctual about responding to them, but their enthusiasm, prayers, and wishes have kept me going. And without their encouragement, I would not have been able to keep at it for such a long time in the middle of several other projects. My final debt is to the author Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyyah, who, unbeknownst to me, has been my spiritual mentor for the last 20 years. Besides his frequent disagreement with the author of the original treatise, Abu Ismail al-Harawi, constrained by utmost respect and benevolence, and his outstanding effort to find excuses for those whose intentions he trusted, but with whom he profoundly disagreed, serves as my own guide in my intellectual life. رَبَّنَا تَقَبَّلْ مِنَّا إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ وَتُبْ عَلَيْنَا إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ التَّوَّابُ الرَّحِيمُ. Translation notes. This is a full, unabridged translation of the original text, Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyyah's Madarij AsSalikeen. The English translation of the Quranic verses is my own. Given the exegetical nature of the text, I have consulted primarily Imam Maduk Pickett Hall, the Noble Quran, in addition to other widely used translations such as those by Yusuf Ali and Sahih International. Since this translation is being published face-to-face with the original Arabic text, all Arabic words have been rendered into their English equivalents, including those that are commonly left in Arabic. such as Allah, the names of the Quranic surahs, Sharia law, etc. The exceptions are as follows. Only those words that have no widely accepted English equivalent or might otherwise be confusing have been kept in Arabic, such as Sunnah, to denote the practice or role model of the Prophet, Surah, to denote the chapters of the Quran, and avoid conflation with chapters of the treaties being translated. Hmm. Another case where the Arabic has been left untranslated is where the original text addresses the linguistic aspects of the term in question, such as the meanings of the word Allah. There are other obvious exceptions, such as proper names, where the Arabic original had to be maintained. The transliteration scheme employed has been that recommended by the International Journal of Middle Eastern Studies. Literal fidelity has been maintained wherever possible. Repetition and rhyme are standard devices in classical Arabic, and among other literary purposes, serve to preserve the meaning and self-correction in a world where manuscript copies frequently erred. I have kept the original meaning and repetition only in cases where the original Arabic terms are synonymous, at least in a given context, or where subtleties would be too distracting and unidiomatic to translate. Have I preferred conciseness over literal fidelity? The manuscript and the Arabic editions. The complete title of the original text is Madarij AsSalikeen. Baina Manazil Iyaka Nabudu wa Iyaka Nasta'in. Ranks of divine seekers between the stations of you alone we worship and you alone we seek for help. The last phrase being the Quranic verse of Surah Fatiha 1:4. Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyyah, earliest biographers, in particular Ibn Rajab, identify his commentary on Marahil al-Saireen, pages of the travelers, instead of Madarij al-Salikeen. The primary edition used here is Madarij al-Salikeen, edited by Nasir al-Sawi, Ali al-Karawi, Saleh al-Tuwaijiri, Khalid al-Hunaym, and Muhammad al-Qudairi, al-Riyad, and al-Qasim, Dar al-Sumai, 1432 to 2011. Henceforth, this edition is referred to as Madarij. Okay, Rashid Rida declared Madarij to be the finest work on Sufism and ethics that he had known, and edited the first modern edition in Cairo. Okay, the editions that I have consulted and extensively used prior to the availability of the M1 are as follows. One was edited by Imad Amir. Volumes are here mentioned based on Muhammad Hamad al-Fiqi original edition, which produced al-Fiqi's gloss. Al-Fiqi's edition is available online at these links. In addition, I have used another edition for cross-checking, edited by Muhammad al-Mutassim al-Baghdadi. This edition claims to be based on 3 manuscripts, one in Dar al-Kutub al-Misriya, and as well as 2 others, and these are mentioned here. Another reputable edition in circulation, but which I have not used, is edited by Abdulaziz ibn Nasir al-Julaini. In contemporary Arabic religious reading circles, Madarij is often read in abridged form, one popular abridgment being a 2-volume edition, largely shorn of complex philosophical and theological polemics, Tahzeeb Madarij al-Salikeen. Alright, so as noted in the introduction, Madarij is Ibn al-Qayyim's critical commentary on an earlier text, Al-Harawi's Manazil al-Saireen, and Ibn al-Qayyim first quotes al-Manazil and then proceeds to comment on it. These quotations have been set off from the commentary. Quranic references appear as surah number, verse number throughout, and like the third verse of the first surah, Al-Fatiha, would be 1. Okay, this is how these will be written. However, if the context is not obvious, the standard form Q and then followed by the numbering is employed to indicate a Quranic surah and verse number. Hadiths found in the major canonical collections are referred to in the footnotes in an abbreviated manner, with only the abbreviated name of the compiler and the hadith number, Bukhari, and then hashtag or number, sign, and 2121. In the case of well-known Arabic words, strict transliteration has been avoided. Muhammad, Quran, Islam, rather than okay. except when these words are part of the proper name, Abu Muhammad. All section numbers as well as headings have been inserted by the translator and are not part of the original text, as the author's use of section maker fasal is not always consistent. Translator has omitted it and replaced with numbered headings an image of the main Syrian manuscript. Oh, okay. Translation of the same passage, whereas our sheikh has preferred the opinions of Mujahid and Hassan in all three cases. Meaning of God being on the straight path. The straight path is the path of God, yet he declares that the path is on him, the exalted, as we have mentioned, and also that the exalted is on the straight path, and this appears twice in the Quran, in Surah Hud, once in Surah Hud, once in the Bee. He says there is no creature that falls, but he takes it by the forelock. Surely my Lord is on the straight path. And said in so abbreviations, Ahmad, Bukhari, Muslim, Tirmidhi, and then translation notes, Madarij, MFER, Tafsir Tabari, and Encyclopedia of Islam, 2. Library. Okay. We are going to start, inshallah. In the name of God, the All-Merciful, the Ever-Merciful, His support is that we seek. No power, no change, no strength there is except through God, the High, the Great. Praised be God, the Lord of all the world, and it's for none but the pious. No hostility against any save the oppressors. I bear witness that there is no God but God. Alone is He, with no partner, no equal. The Lord of the messengers, the Creator of heavens and earth. I bear witness that Muhammad is His servant and His messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, sent with a clear book which separates error from guidance, deception from righteousness, and conjecture from certitude. He has revealed the book for us so that we read and ponder it, reflect on it with devotion and vigilance, enrich our soul through its remembrance, construe it in the best of manners, affirm it, strive to establish its commands and prohibitions, and reap the fruit of its precious knowledge that connects us to God, the Exalted, and inhale the wisdom of its meadows and flowers. For this is His book, it guides to Him all who seek His inner knowledge. It is the surest way that leads the seeker to Him. It is the surest way that leads the seeker to Him. It is His brilliant light that illuminates all darkness, His compassionate guidance, the boon of all creation. It is His rope that connects His servants to Him when all else fails, His greatest door to Him that remains open when all else is closed. It is the straight path unsullied by opinions of men, its wisdom unstained by base desires. Sages are never sated with its generous feast. Its wonders never end. Its clouds never dry. Its signs never exhaust. Its meanings never contradict. The more a soul delves into its depths, the more it attains discernment and guidance. No sooner are its wells uncovered than come forth all well springs of wisdom. For it is the light of the eye against blindness, the cure for all humankind against the myriad ailments of the heart. It is the life of the heart and the delight of the soul. It is the shepherd that tends the soul towards the land of bliss. It is the harbinger that calls night and day, O seekers of righteousness, hurry. It is the proclaimer of faith on the straight path, calling, O our people, respond to God's proclaimer and believe in Him. We will forgive your sins and save you from the painful chastisement. By God, it surely pierces ears that are open and illuminates hearts cleansed of corruption. But alas, desires have extinguished the lamps of hearts, and opinions of mortal men have shut the doors of divine guidance and lost the keys. Hearts are laden with the rust of their deeds and are shut out of the realities of the Quran. The ailment of ignorance has so overcome them that even sound nourishment is of no avail. How odd indeed, how they have chosen to nourish on the vain opinions of mortals that neither replenish nor quell hunger, yet they reject nourishment from the words of the Lord of all the worlds and the words of his messenger? How could they find their way in the darkness of men's opinions and tell right from wrong when they fail to do that in the radiant light of the Sunnah and the book? How odd indeed, how they have managed to conflate the right teachings with the wrong ones and the accepted ones with the rejected ones, the favored ones with the indefensible ones, and have thus managed to render themselves incapable of receiving guidance and knowledge from the discourse of the one whose speech is immune to falsehood, from the front and the back, and who guarantees to elucidate the truth with utmost clarity, and the speech of the one who has given the most comprehensive of words, clear in the extreme? Nay, but it is by God a trial that has veiled hearts from the sources of righteousness and has bedeviled intellects, straying them from their goal, a trial so endemic that the young are brought up into it and the old grow senile in it. Those blind as bats imagine to be the ultimate accomplishment they race to and the end they rush to in hordes. How far a faint, distant star is from the brilliant midday sun. How far the dark underworld is from the brilliant stars of Gemini. How far the discourse is whose author has no guarantee of inerrancy or an established proof from the truthful transmission on the authority of an infallible one. How far the human opinions are whose highest honor may be the permissibility of being followed from the clear divine text that every Muslim must put above all else, submit to, and turn to for judgment in all questions of disagreement. How far the opinions are whose author has prohibited and warned against blindly following them from the text that it is incumbent on every servant of God to follow and contemplate. How far the schools are which count among the bygones as their need passes away, from the scriptures that will not lapse even when the heavens and the earth end. Exalted be God, how deprived are those who turn away from the texts of revelation, of seeking knowledge from its niche of light and its treasure trove. When what life of heart and radiance of sight they have lost as they contented themselves with the opinions dug up with the shovels of conjecture, and as they divided up their matter into groups, rousing each other with ornate words and conceit, for whose sake they all but shunned the Quran, for whose sake the signposts of Quran have been so erased from their hearts that they are alert to none of them, its dwellings so forgotten that they abide in none of them, its standards and banners so insignificant in their hands that they raise none of them, its brilliant stars so dimmed on the horizons of their souls that they have no love for them, and invariant readings that they no longer see or rejuvenate them. Its sun so eclipsed behind the shadows of their opinions that they see nothing of it. They have dethroned the revelation from the realm of reality, deposed it from the province of certitude, and assailed it with false interpretations. Ambush after ambush, their attacks have yet to cease. The revelation has come to them like a guest to a sordid, miserly host who fails to show him fitting honor or munificence, and receives him at an arm's length, rejecting it root and branch, saying to him, we have no passage for you here, yet if you must pass quickly. They have reduced scripture to the status of a caliph in our times. His is the mint and ritual mention in sermons, but no authority or actual say in ruling. One who adheres to the book and sunnah is to them a literalist lacking in intelligence, whereas the follower of mutually contradicting and incoherent opinions of men is accomplished and learned. The possessors of the book and the sunnah who rank the revealed text above all else are in their view ignorant and deficient. When it is said to them, believe as the people believe, they say, shall we believe as fools believe? Truly they are the foolish ones, but they do not know. They are deprived by God of attainment to God, for they have diverted from the path of revelation, lost the foundation, adhered instead to trunks with no roots. These opinions have robbed them of what they most longed for and cut off the ropes they most needed. until the time comes when that which is in the graves is scattered about, and that which is in the breast is collected. Every group's attainment has become distinct and clear, and the reality is uncovered of what they took as beliefs and preferred it to all else. And there has appeared to them the evil of what they have earned, and they stand aghast at the sight of the harvest of what they sowed. Oh, how devastating the lament of a loser as he stands watching all the effort and toil turn into scattered dust. What great calamity it would be when his wishful hopes turn out to be as empty as lightning without downpour, false and conceited. What do those whose intentions harbored heretical innovations, desire and prejudice for the opinions of mortals, think their Lord will do on the day when secrets are tried? What do those whose intentions harbored heretical innovations, desire and prejudice for the opinions of mortals, think their Lord will do on the day when secrets are tried? What excuse will there be for those who throw the true scriptures behind their backs on the day when their excuses will be of no avail to the wrongdoers? Do such men think that they can save themselves from their Lord by dint of opinions of mortals, or by the abundance of their discourse and disputations, or by their analogies and suppositions, or by their subtle allusions, ecstatic outbursts, or fanciful imaginations? How far from the truth, by God! Such a one entertains the falsest of hopes and most unlikely of fancies. For salvation is assured only to the one who takes God's guidance to be the ultimate judge above all else, who stocks up with piety for his journey, follows the true guide, and walks the straight path, who holds on to revelation with a firm tie that cannot be undone. God is all hearing, all knowing. Merits of the first chapter of the Quran, the opening. To proceed. The perfection of man lies in acquiring beneficial knowledge and righteous conduct, these being the guidance and the religion of truth, respectively, and then in aiding others to attain the same two goods. As God the Exalted has said, by time man is in loss, save those who have attained faith, done good works, and enjoined upon one another, holding on to the truth, and enjoined upon one another patience. The Exalted declares upon oath that everyone is in loss except those who perfect their cognitive faculty through faith, their practical faculty through righteous works, and seek to perfect others through enjoining truth and patience. The meaning of the truth here includes faith as well as practice, the two being incomplete without patience and mutual reminding. It thus behooves every human being to spend every hour, nay, every breath of his life in seeking the highest goals and through them avert the manifest laws. This cannot be attained except by turning to the Quran with understanding, reflection, and contemplation, unearthing its treasures and culling out its buried pearls, resorting to it and constancy and resolve. Resorting to it with constancy and resolve. For it alone assures the well-being of God's servants in this life and the next, and takes them to the path of righteousness. For all that is sought by the seekers of God, be it Gnostic reality or spiritual discipline, intuitive taste or true ecstatic states, none can be lit but from a niche of light, from its niche of light, and none can be picked but from its orchard. We shall by God's aid show this by explaining the opening of the book and the mother of the Quran, how it encompasses these goals, how it includes rebuttals of all various kinds of heresy and error, how it subsumes the stations of spiritual wayfarers and abodes of noors. We shall also alert you to the distinctions between the goals and the means of the spiritual path and the spiritual goods that are given by God's grace and those that are earned. We shall describe the unique status of this surah, the like of which has been revealed neither in the Torah nor the Gospel nor in the Quran. God is alone sought for help and reliance. There is no power to change nor strength but through Him. His word, the Almighty, the Exalted, after I seek refuge from God against Satan, the rejected. In the name of God, the All-Merciful, the Ever-Merciful, praise be to God, Lord of the world, the all-merciful, the ever-merciful, Master of the day of recompense, you alone we worship and you alone we supplicate for help. Guide us to the straight path, the path of those you have blessed, not those who have incurred wrath, nor those who are astray. Know that this surah was perfectly and comprehensively Know that this surah most perfectly and comprehensively contains the foundation of all lofty pursuits. It introduces to its reader the one worthy of worship, the blessed and the exalted, by means of three of his names that are the source of and the axis of all the beautiful names and noble attributes: God, Lord, and the All-Merciful. The surah is built on divinity, lordship, and mercy. For you alone we worship is founded on the attribute of divinity. You alone we supplicate for help is predicated on the attribute of lordship. The plea of guidance to the straight path is based on the attribute of mercy, and the praise includes all three. He is praised in his divinity, lordship, and mercy. Thus, praise and honor express his noble perfection. It further contains the affirmation of afterlife, the accountability of servants' good and bad deeds, the sole right of the exalted Lord of judgment over the creation, and the justice of his judgment. All this being a corollary of his words, Master of the Day of Recompense. The affirmation of prophethood in the opening. It further comprises the affirmation of prophethood in a number of ways. First being Lord of the worlds, it does not behoove him to leave his servants without guidance, failing to inform them of what is beneficial and what is harmful in their earthly life as well as afterlife, as this would be a deficiency in lordship, and it would not be appropriate to attribute it to God. Whosoever does so has failed to rightly honor God. Second, he is taking on for himself the name Allah, which means the only God, the worthy of worship, and there is no way for servants to know how to worship him but through his messengers. Third, his name, the All-Merciful, precludes his leaving his servants without guidance to that which will lead them to the utmost level of their perfection. One who gives the name the All-Merciful its due will know that it requires sending messengers and revealing scriptures more than it requires creating vegetation and rain. The requirement that His mercy provide that which will give life to hearts and souls is greater than the requirement that it provide the means to the life of bodies and forms. Yet those who are veiled understand from this name little more than do brutes and beasts, whereas those who possess intelligence understand by it something altogether beyond that. Fourth, the mention of the day of recompense, which is the day when God compensates his servants for their deeds, rewarding them for their good deeds, and holding them accountable for their sins. It does not behoove God to hold anyone accountable without establishing a clear proof. And that proof is not established without the sending of messengers and revealing of scriptures. It is by virtue of them that reward and punishment will be deserved. The bazaar of the day of recompense will be set up, the righteous taken toward the bounties and the wicked towards the fire. Fifth, his words, you alone we worship, require that the ways and means in which God is to be worshipped must be those that he loves and finds pleasing. Worshipping God, which comprise gratitude, love, and fear, is natural and known to all who possess sound intellect. But the way of this worship cannot be known except through his messengers, and this suggests that the sending of messengers is an established fact according to sound human intellect, denying which is like denying the need for a creator. Whoever rejects messengers indeed rejects the one who sent them and does not believe in him, which is why God the Exalted has made denying his messengers tantamount to denying him. 6. His words, guide us to the straight path, imply guidance, which consists of exposition and direction, followed by grace and inspiration. The first of these two, exposition and direction, are not possible except through messengers. Only when exposition and direction are attained in the guidance of grace, which comprises of granting of faith in the heart the endearment and adornment of faith to the heart's holding of faith as the highest priority with pleasure and love then attained. The two types of guidance are independent of each other. The success is not possible in and success is not possible in the absence of either. They include our being taught what we did not know of the truth in its particulars as well as its general principles, our being inspired to believe in the truth, our being desirous of following it outwardly and inwardly, the creation of our capacity to carry out what this guidance requires in word, deed, and determination, our constancy on it, and our steadfastness on it until death. Hence, the utter need of the servant to make this plea above all other needs, and the folly of those who wonder why we seek for guidance if we are already guided. For the portion of the truth unknown to us in many times what is many times what is known. For the portion of truth unknown to us is many times what is known. Then what we fail to desire of the good that is known to us out of laziness is no less than what we desire to do. Furthermore, what we desire to do of the good but have no capacity to do is many times that we do have the capacity to do. Similarly, small is the fraction of what we know of only in general but whose particulars escape us. Thus, the matter, that is our need for guidance, is beyond reckoning, and we are in need of guidance in every respect. Even the one for whom these matters have been set aright must ask for guidance in order to be persistent and stay the course. Guidance has yet another level, the last one, which is guidance on the day of resurrection, on the way to the garden. Whoever is guided in this earthly abode to the straight path of God, for which He sent messengers and revealed scriptures, will be guided there to the straight path to the garden, the abode of His reward. Only to the extent that the servant had been steadfast on the straight path that God set forth in the earthly abode, shall he be steadfast on the bridge spread across the breadth of hell. His journey on that path shall be only the length of his journey on this path. Among them will be some who will cross it as fast as lightning, others as the sight, others as the wind, others as a rider, others running, others walking, and yet others who will drag themselves across it, and others will barely escape it with their skin scarred, and finally others plunge into the fire. Let every servant anticipate his journey on that path by looking at his journey on this path, and as the latter will follow the former step by step, a fitting recompense. Do you receive but the wages of what you used to do? Do you receive but the wages of what you used to do? Let each servant watch out for the doubts and desires that obstruct his journey on the straight path. They are like ferocious dogs on either side of that path that keep the traveler from continuing on the straight path. If these dogs are numerous and strong enough to keep you from God's path in this world, so will they be on that path, because your Lord is not unjust to his servants. The plea for guidance thus includes the plea for all that is good as well as safety from all evil. 7. The affirmation of prophethood can be derived from the object of supplication, namely the straight path. A path cannot be called sirat unless it has 5 attributes: straightness, connection to the destination, nearness to the destination if one treads on it, sufficient expanse for travelers to tread, and its designation as a way to get to the destination. It is evident that the straight path is characterized by these 5 attributes. Its characterization as straight implies its nearness, for a straight line is the shortest distance between 2 points. The more crooked a path, the longer it is. The straightness also assures the arrival at the destination for anyone who walks on it, guarantees its expanse to accommodate all, and guarantees its link to their benefactor. Its contrast with the path of the people of wrath and error further ascertains its being the right path. In the Quran, the path is sometimes possessively attributed to God. and as he is the one who has decreed and instituted it, as in the God's words, and this is my path which is straight, and his words, surely you shall guide unto a straight path, the path of God. On other occasions, the path's possession is attributed to the servants, as in the opening, for they are the ones who traverse it. 8. The affirmation of prophethood can be derived from the mention of those who have received God's gift and their distinction from the people of wrath and those of error. People are divided by their knowledge of the truth and practice in accordance with it into these three categories. For a servant either has the knowledge of the truth or not, and the one who knows the truth either acts on it or opposes it. These three categories include all those beings that are answerable for God without exception. The one whom God blesses is the one who knows the truth, acts in accordance with it, and purifies his soul with beneficial knowledge and righteous action. Such is the successful one. Indeed, successful is he who purifies it. In contrast, the one who knows but chooses rather to follow his base desire is the one who receives wrath, and the one who is ignorant of the truth is the one in error. Now, the one who incurs wrath is in error for lacking the guidance to practice his knowledge, and the one who is in error also incurs wrath for failing to acquire the knowledge that would lead to righteous action. Thus, both are in error and incur wrath. But the one who fails to act in accordance with the truth after having known it is more deserving of being associated with wrath. Thus, the Jews fall into the category. What an evil price for that they have what an evil price for which they have sold themselves. They deny what God has revealed, outraged that God should send down his grace upon a servant of his choosing. They have thus earned wrath upon wrath. God the Exalted further says, say, shall I tell you of a recompense with God worse than that? Whomsoever God has cursed, and with whom he is wroth, and made some of them apes and swine, and worshippers of a false God. Such are worse and greater in their deviance from the right path. Those ignorant of the truth are more deserving of being associated with error. Hence, Christians have been characterized thus, as in the words of the Exalted. Say, O people of the book, go not beyond the bounds in your religion other than the truth, and follow not the desires of a people who went astray before, and led astray many, and now again have gone astray from the right way. The first two verses occur in the context of addressing the Jews, and the last one in the context of addressing the Christians. In Al-Tirmidhi and Sahih of Ibn Hibban, there is a report on the authority of Ubay bin Hatim that the Messenger of God said, Wasallam, the Jews are the ones who have incurred wrath, whereas the Christians are the ones in error. Thus, the Surah Fatiha mentions those who are blessed, namely those who have known the truth and have followed it. Those who have incurred wrath, namely those who have known the truth but followed their desire, and those in error, namely those who are ignorant of what is necessary to establish the messengerhood and prophethood. The division of people in these categories is a known reality and is implied by the establishment of prophethood. A lesson in etiquette towards God. He attributed the possession of blessing to himself and elided the agent of wrath for a few reasons. One is that blessing is goodness and grace, whereas wrath falls in the category of revenge and justice. This means that in Surah Fatiha, when Allah Ta'ala speaks about blessing, He says, An'amta alayhim, but He did not mention Himself with the wrath. It means that the wrath is not sent by Him, it is people who are bent upon earning it. So this is what is being alluded to here. One is that blessing is goodness and grace, whereas wrath falls in the category of revenge and justice, and mercy overwhelms wrath. Thus, he attributed to himself the better, superior, and stronger of the two types of attributes. This is the manner of the Quran in attributing good things and blessings to him, and elision of the agent in the opposite cases. For instance, thus the believers among the jinn say, and so we know not whether evil is intended for those on the earth, or whether their Lord intends for them rectitude. Similarly, the statement of Al-Khidr concerning the wall and the two orphans, as for the wall, it belonged to two orphan lads in the city. Under it was a treasure belonging to them. Their father was a righteous man, and your Lord desired that they should come of age and then bring forth their treasure as a mercy from your Lord. But concerning the hole in the boat, he said, I desired to damage it. And then added, I did it not of my own bidding. Consider also the words of Almighty permitted to you upon the night of the fast is to go into your wives, forbidden to you are carrion, blood, and flesh of swine, forbidden to you are your mothers, and then he has permitted for you all that is beyond that. Among the wisdoms of his singling out the people of the straight paths for blessing, one is that only the blessing that leads to eternal success is characterized as unqualified blessing. Whereas all believers as well as unbelievers enjoy blessing in general, for all creation is encompassed by his blessing. This is the resolution of the controversy on the question whether the unbeliever receives God's blessing. The unqualified blessing is for the people of faith, whereas general blessing is for both believer and the unbeliever. And as the Exalted said, if you count God's blessings, you will never encompass it. Surely man is sinful, ungrateful. Blessing is a genus of favor. Rather, it is a favor itself, and the favors of the exalted Lord encompass the righteous and the wicked, believing and the unbelieving. But the unlimited favor is only for the pious and those who excel in righteousness. Another fine point is that God the Exalted is the sole benefactor. Whatsoever blessing you have is from God. Thus, whatever He alone is the agent of has been rightly attributed to Him. But whatever is attributed to anyone else, that agent is merely a path or a means of blessing. However, wrath upon his enemies is not limited to him, but shared by his angels, prophets, messengers, allies, who are displeased with those with whom he is displeased. Thus, in the wording, those who have incurred wrath, there is an implied inclusion of his allies with him, whereas there is an allusion to his singularity as the beneficent that would not be evident had the wording been those who have been blessed. A third point is that in the elision of the agent of wrath, there is disgrace and disparagement for those incurring the wrath, which contrasts with the mention of the agent of blessing, honoring and the praise of the one that is blessed by his mention. For instance, when you see someone whom a king has honored and ennobled, you would say, this is the one whom the sultan has ennobled and bestowed upon the robe of honor and given whatever he desired, which would be more eloquent in praise and reverence than if you said, this is the one who has been ennobled, given a robe, honored, and given gifts. So when you want to enhance or multiply the effect of honor, then you mention the king that who has honored, it multiplies the honor. To consider the subtle wisdom in the mention of the cause and the reward for all the three groups in the most brief and concise wording. The blessing on them includes his blessing them with guidance, which comprises beneficial knowledge and righteous action, and this is the guidance and the religion of truth, and also includes the perfection of blessing with goodly reward and recompense, which is the perfection of favor, and the wording, those whom you have blessed, is inclusive of both of these. Anamta alayhim is being referred to here. Similarly, the mention of his wrath upon those who have incurred wrath also includes two things, the wrath that leads to the ultimate punishment and dishonor, and the cause by which they have deserved the wrath of the Exalted. He is much too merciful and compassionate to be wrathful without their committing crime and error, and the wrath on them has been entailed by their error, in fact, error upon error upon error. So the mention of those who have erred also earns them his wrath and chastisement for them. For the one who has erred deserves punishment, which is caused by his error and God's displeasure with him. Thus, the attributes of each of these groups imply and require the associated cause and the recompense, all expressed with utmost concision clarity, and eloquence, mentioning the agent in the case of successful and omitting it in the case of those who have earned wrath, and the attribution of act of error to its subject. So it is the subject who is persistently stubborn upon error. And these are the people of error who are bent upon disobedience despite Allah's mercy, despite Allah's endless mercy, and reaching out to them and calling them to the straight path and providing them with messengers and giving them the message, despite exhausting all the efforts to guide them. People who are bent upon error and they pile up error upon error, error upon error, error upon error, they are the ones who deserve the wrath that they earn. So this is why this those who incurred the wrath, they have not been associated with the most merciful, because he does not want to. Allah does not want to punish anyone. It is people who choose to fall into error. So consider also the contrast between guidance and blessing on the one hand, and wrath and error on the other. The mention of those who have incurred wrath and those who have erred appears in contrast with those that are guided and blessed. This contrast between error and its associated misfortune on the one hand, and the guidance and its associated success on the other, occurs frequently in the Quran, and this latter can be seen in his words, those are the ones upon guidance from their Lord, and those are the ones that are successful. Those are the ones with safety, and they are the guided ones. And the former, in the words of the Exalted, surely the criminals are in error in the fires, and his words, God has set a seal on their hearts and on their hearing, and on their eyes as a covering, and there awaits them a mighty chastisement. The Exalted has brought together all four things in the following. Then if there comes to you from me guidance, and whosoever follows my guidance shall not go astray, neither shall he be unprosperous. This is guidance and success. Then he said, but whosoever turns away from my remembrance, his shall be a constricted life, and on the resurrection day we shall raise him blind. He shall say, O my Lord, why have you raised me blind, as I was wont to see, like I was a seeing person in the world? God shall say, even so it is, our signs came to you and you forgot them, and so today you are forgotten, mentioning error and misfortune. Thus guidance and success imply each other, as do error and misfortune. I'm going to pause here for today, inshallah, and we will continue with 1.3, the straight path, in the next session, inshallah. And we are going to discuss, if there are any questions, you can go through this reading one more time as I will upload the recording, and we will go through the Q&As before we start with 1.3 in the next session, inshallah. Barakallahu feekum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.